Well, hello beautiful people and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to be helping you understand what you need to know if you want to start an agricultural business in South Africa. My name is Tandisa Mahe and I talk all things relating to business, making money and the family life. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. And if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing and clicking the notification bell so that you may be kept abreast of when we put out other great content. So the first step that you need to take when you want to start this agricultural business is to identify a sector of focus. There are many different areas that you can focus in agriculture, but you cannot be all over the place. You need to focus on one at least or two. But when you're starting out and you're like literally a novice, I would advise that you choose one. And when I'm talking about spaces or sectors or focus areas, I'm literally referring to, you could decide to do crop farming, that is where you plant crops. You could decide to do livestock farming, that's focusing on livestock. You could decide to do agro processing. You could decide to go aquaculture. There are so many more that I haven't mentioned, but you need to choose a specific focus area. And what you need to consider here is your skills and interests. If you don't have skills, what interests you? You don't want to go into livestock if you like crop, or you don't want to go crop if you like livestock. You want to take that which you enjoy, you like, you're passionate about, and you also have got resources to, pull together to ensure that you roll that business out. Guys, the second thing that you need to do is to conduct a market research. If you don't conduct market research when it comes to this space, you are going to be in trouble. You're going to deal with problems that you would have prevented had you conducted proper market research. And you don't have to get overwhelmed. Market research can be in bite sizes. It doesn't have to be as complicated as you might think it is. It could literally begin by, once you now know that you want to do, let's say, crop farming, what you're going to do is, in the space that you'd like to operate in, go out and speak to other crop farmers. Ask them questions, investigate how they do their operations, how they get customers, who do they sell to, how they build their business, how they grow their business, strategies that they use. That could be the first part. The second part could be in terms of a market. Talk to people that would be potential customers to your product that you're going to have at the end of, you having produced whatever it is that you're producing. Let's say if it's crops, then go to people that you're potentially going to sell to. Ask them questions. What are some of the pains that they experience? What are some of the challenges they currently experience with their suppliers, like people that they buy from, like the current producers? What are some things that they would change? What would they like? What would they not like? That information is truly going to help you. You can also conduct desktop research. Don't forget, you can also go to the Department of Agriculture and the agencies aligned with the Department of Agriculture and also investigate, find out more information. This is going to help you as you're doing your market research, because you need to understand all the different areas and aspects that relate to running an agricultural business. And these ways can be able to help you to start. The next thing that you want to do is to find a suitable location where you're going to operate from. Don't skip this step at this stage. Make sure that you find a suitable location that is going to be conducive to the production that you want to do. Now, with agriculture, there are so many different important aspects that you need to consider. Things such as soil, especially if you're going to be getting into crop, but even if it's livestock, you need to understand the soil. How is the soil that you're going to be working on? Availability of water. Water is very important. Whether you're doing livestock, whether you're doing crop, you need water. So access to water. The place that you are going to find that is suitable needs to consider things like that. Accessibility in terms of roads, so that when the produce is finished, it is able to be transported to the market. Things like that. So you need to find a location. Also, in terms of environmental factors that you need to consider, some types of farming initiatives are not allowed in certain areas. Like, for instance, when it comes to piggery, you need to ensure that you do environmental impact assessments to ensure that, you know how pigs are. So they cannot just be where people dwell, things like that. So in finding a suitable location or area where you're going to be operating from is all about considering such factors so that you are not having a challenge in the future where you've chosen a location that will not be sustainable in the long term. The next thing that I would advise you to do once you've done all of this is to now build a business plan. This is always a song that I will sing forever. Have a business plan. And this is going to help you as you go out and look for resources and support and partners and stakeholders and funders and anyone who can come in to help you with your business. Make sure that you now build a business plan. Now you have an idea of the area that you're going to work in. You have an idea of, your customers. You have an idea of, in terms of the market research that you've done, you have an idea of the location. At least now you can go and build a business plan based on that information that you already have. It's going to help you. Make sure that your business plan is comprehensive. Make sure that your business plan is effective. It is bankable. It is properly developed. Make sure that you're going to be then following the business plan or integrating it into the rest of the plans or the rest of the steps that you need to take or the rest of, the other areas that you need to get into as you are rolling out this business. The next one is legal requirements. Agriculture has got a lot of legal requirements. This includes making sure that your compliance is in order, and then also the specific licenses and permits that you need. Agriculture can be very, complicated in the sense that there are so many compliances that you need to meet, legislative regulations and requirements that you need to meet. For an example, if you're going to be using water, you cannot just use water for agriculture. You need things like water rights. All of these things are literally accessible from all the departments that, the relevant departments that issue these licenses and permits. It's not that complicated to get them. You just need to get the processes rolling. You will be able to get your hands on them as long as you follow the requirements that they put out for you. Like, for instance, when you're going to apply for a water license, they're going to give you requirements that you need to follow in order for you to actually get the water license with terms and conditions. And then you're obviously going to follow those terms and conditions. So the next thing that you want to do is to focus on legal requirements for your specific agricultural business. The next one, especially if you're going to be going the route of crop production, is to do soil tests. You need to know what kind of soil you're going to be working with. Do your soil test, find out what nutrients are in the soil, how fertile the soil is, how you'd need to, because this information actually is going to contribute towards what type of products you use to augment the soil to get it to the level it needs to be. Sometimes you need to reduce some things, sometimes you need to improve some things. It all depends on the results that you're going to get. The Department of Agriculture assists in this process as well. I must say though that it does take a bit of a while because there are many tests that get to be done, but you will get the test at the end of the day. Now, the next thing that you want to do is to finalize, and also be on the lookout for types of crops that you're going to be using, and also, types of breeds that you're going to be using in the space of livestock. So what you want to do at this stage is go out and investigate the best crop or the best livestock for the area or the location that you have chosen. Some livestock does not work in certain areas. They die because of climate issues or, conditions in the environment and things like that. Some crops die in certain areas. They don't work because it's too hot or it's too rainy or it's too cold. So those things are very much important for you to consider. Now, when it comes to choosing the correct breeds and the correct crops, it's going to also boil down to what works in the area that you have selected and also their profitability. Don't forget looking at profitability, looking at your profit margins. If you use this kind of crop, if you use this kind of breed. Also, resistance to disease is very important. Don't use crops that are, even though the truth is, products with a higher susceptibility to dying or diseases and stuff like that are mostly on the high end in terms of revenue. They give you good returns, but the risk, so it's that space now where you have to balance out the risk appetite that you have for these types of crops or these types of breeds. Like, how far do you want to push it? My bet would be, if you're starting out, play it safe. Find hardy, resistant, kinds of breeds and crops that will be able to at least get the business going and have some cash flow before you can start tapping into higher, riskier types or kinds of products, right? So my advice would be to start at the low end, where it's a little bit safer or the risk is a little bit lower. And then as you go and as you're strengthening your capacity within running this agricultural business, then you can increase your risk appetite and go for the more riskier, much more profitable types and kinds of, crops or breeds. The next thing that you want to do is to now get your hands on equipment and tools and, a little bit of infrastructure that might be necessary. And I don't want to lie, it depends on your approach that you're going to be using and the level or the scale that you're going to be pitching at. I don't want to lie, ne? If you are going to be going the route of studying high-end, big commercial scale, then obviously you're going to need a lot of funding and financial assistance with that. But you don't have to start there. You do not have to start there. You could literally start small by self-financing or by, getting a little bit of inputs from the department and things like that. You could literally start small, but it's up to you what you decide. If you go the commercial big, large capital, a lot of gearing that's necessary there. Then you're going to have to do like a funding application from DFIs, from development finance institutions, from government agencies, from government institutions, government departments, things like that. But it's going to delay your process because you need to wait out the funding, to be paid out and things like that. But if you want to start small, then the basic thing that you can actually do is to use, your current capacity to procure resources, equipment, tools that you might need at a smaller scale. Now, if you want to succeed, do not forget these 3 words: GAP, GAP, good agricultural practice. Ne? This is a term that you will need to be familiar with and make sure that within your operations you integrate GAP. GAP has got different levels. There's a basic one, there's global GAP. There are, different kind of certifications that basically say that in terms of how you run your operation, your farming operation, you follow best practice. You follow good practice. You follow good practice in terms of you do not mix your fertilizer with your chemicals, or things like you do not have your toilets next to where you're producing the food, things like that, like basic hygiene protocols that you follow, and the flow of systems within your farm, the separation of things that don't come together. It's a whole thing. Okay, I'm not going to do it in this video, but I just want you to also keep this step in mind, where now once you started rolling out, you need to roll out your farm understanding GAP and making sure that you are compliant. Now, the important thing about GAP is this: once you get a GAP certification where you've met all the requirements in order for you to get GAP certified, retailers and off-takers and people that can actually buy your produce now you look more appetizing to them. They're more prone to work with someone who has GAP certification than someone who doesn't have, because it proves that whatever it is that they're going to be picking up from you or buying from you is actually meeting the food safety standards. The next thing that I would advise you to do is to start building relationships with suppliers and buyers. Now, this is where you are at a point where at least you can see, where your business is moving. You can see there's movement. You can see there's progress. You can see there's a little bit of growth. And when I say this, I mean the structure. The structure is there. The skeleton is visible. Okay, you still need to put some meat on it, but at least engage suppliers. What you want to play at is creating good relationships with suppliers so that you can get discounts for bulk buying. Compare your different suppliers, who has better product at a reasonable price and things like that. Consider also joining forces with other farmers in your area so that you can do bulk buying, get leverage on bulk buying, and also start engaging with buyers, your potential market. Engage with them in a sense of saying, now, this is where I am in progressing and this is what I'm planning to plant. And obviously, if they have an interest, you can even get them to write you letters of intent, which would help you in securing more funding, more financing, more resources, because it would present your business as though at least there is somewhat a market when the produce or the production is ready for the market. I cannot emphasize this enough. Agriculture is about records. It is about records. Let me say it again. It is about records. I know that most people who are passionate about agriculture don't want anything to do with books. But if you're going to win in your agricultural business, you need to love records. Record everything. And I'm not only talking financial records. Yes, those are important. I'm talking in terms of the processes. What you use to put on your plants, which dates you put these products on the plants. This is so sensitive because the days between you spraying chemicals on your spinach and getting them to the market and actually getting them consumed by people, and you not being able to record that correctly and ensure that that chemical is at a level where now it can be consumed, you could actually get people sick if you're not recording properly. Another example is when it comes to livestock. You could literally continue using a ram that is not effective because you did not record which ram is not effective, and you continue wasting seasons. Imagine wasting seasons and losing money because you are not recording your processes properly. Agricultural processes need to be recorded. That's where the money is. This is where you make decisions on which kind of livestock to keep, which kind of livestock to cull, things like that. They contribute to your bottom line. Whether you think they do or not, they actually do. They contribute to your bottom line in a negative or in a positive way. So your ability to keep good records will directly contribute to your bottom line. It actually will. So make sure you keep good records, and good documentation. The last one that I'm going to talk about is marketing and branding. Now, once you have done all these steps and you've moved forward, just before you get your products out there, build a brand, okay? Build a brand that is relatable to your target market. Build a brand, be visible. Building a brand, could mean so many different things to so many different people. But there are principles to brand building that you need to follow that actually work. You need to have a story that is aligned to your business. Why do you do the business? What impact do you want it to have on the people, on your customers, on the end consumer? A lot of things go into brand building. Colors that you use. Why these colors? Colors speak in marketing, in branding. The tones of colors evoke certain emotions. When people see them, it evokes certain emotions within people. Do you want your brand to be warm, to be cold, to be authoritative? There are so many different dynamics, but you've got the responsibility to build that brand, okay? And also, as you're building this brand, think about how you're going to then strategically position it with farmers associations, farmers groupings, or a kind of organizations that support farming programs, things like that. How are you going to position yourself so that you are seen and known and respected? And yeah, these are some of the things that you can think about, consider, work around when you want to start in your agricultural business. And I know that I would need to do like separate kind of videos focusing on the different sectors or areas of focus within agriculture, but I wanted this to be a general high level video that can be able to assist anyone who wants to take any route within agriculture. I am going to probably be coming back with specific ones like for crop production, with steps on how to get into that, for livestock, aquaculture. That's an interesting pool. If you want me to bring specific ones and you're interested in me doing like a video that's focused and dedicated on a specific sector, drop that down in the comments section. And yeah, this is all for me for today. Before I go, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you are kept abreast of when we put out new content. Otherwise, that's all for me for today. Until next time, stay absolutely blessed.